Hunting the rut can be unpredictable. The deer are doing crazy things, the weather's doing crazy things, but one thing is certain. You need to be in the woods as much as possible to have that opportunity at the bucks you're chasing. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through my layering system. That way you'll be prepared for whatever Mother Nature throws at you. So I'm gonna walk through a couple different scenarios that you're likely to encounter during the rut and how I would dress for them. And the first situation is, unfortunately, when you get those really hot days in early November. It seems like every year you get those 70-degree, even 80-degree days, even in the Midwest, and you have to be able to be out there and be comfortable. So what I got on right here is I have the Prevail pant from Pnuma, and I'll link to all this stuff down below. And I guess before I kick things off, if you use the code NSO20 at checkout, you'll save 20% off. And then up top, I have the Renegade Swift hoodie. And I really like Pnuma's pattern. This is their OV, or Optimum Versatility. I think it's a great elevated pattern, and it's really versatile if you do end up sitting on the ground. It's not just whites and grays. It has enough brown in there to really blend in with the fall leaves. And I think it's a great pattern no matter where you end up setting up. So this is what I'd be wearing on those 70-degree days in the rut. So the next situation you'll run into is those days where it's the mid-50s all the way up to 70, somewhere in between. The next thing that I would incorporate into my system is some type of base layers. And I really like these merino base layers. They wick moisture. They naturally don't have any odor. All of Pnuma's clothes are treated with polygene technology, which kills odor-causing bacteria anyways, but you get the double duty from the merino. Really soft, really comfortable. And then up top, I would wear the quarter zip, and then I would wear these layers over top of them. So that way it gives me just a little bit of extra insulation without being too warm. So whether it's early morning or maybe it's getting later in the evening and you're starting to feel a little bit of a chill, the next thing that I would add is this. And this is the Gunnison Merino hoodie. It's, again, merino. It's a little bit heavier, and it's what I add just to bridge the gap between when it's just a little bit cooler and when it actually gets cold. And all this is building up into a system that I can build on and add layers or subtract layers to depending on the weather. The next common scenario that you'll find yourself in the rut is when the temperature is in between 30 degrees and 50 degrees. And what I have on right now just isn't gonna cut it. So then I would add this. And these are the Ventus pants. These are windproof, fleece lined. They're perfect for bow hunting. They're dead silent. But one thing I will mention is I do not wear these into the woods with me unless I have a really short walk. I don't wear any of my outer layers with me. I'm usually going deep into public land. I'm hiking my way in. I don't want to sweat a lot. So I usually add these once I'm actually set up in the tree saddle hunting. And a lot of people ask me how I add layers while I'm saddle hunting. Where there's a will, there's a way. I always just do it when I'm up in the tree. My body temperature comes down to a normal temperature. So that way I'm not trapping so much heat and really sweating myself out. But in addition to the pants, I would add this. And this is the Ventus jacket. Again, it's fleece lined, so it's dead silent. It's windproof. And I know that if I have this on and I'm up in a tree with a bow in my hand, hunting's gonna be good because that means it's getting cool out and you're probably in for some good hunts. One thing I like about the Ventus jacket is the hood is very articulate. It doesn't block my peripheral at all. So I can put it up, keep my head and my ears warm. Again, it's gonna block that wind, but it's not blocking my vision at all. So I can see out the corners of my eyes just fine. Make sure I stay nice and toasty up in the tree. Usually around these temperatures too, I'll start to incorporate some accessories like a beanie, which I always just put right over my hat. And I look really stupid sometimes. A lot of people would probably argue I look really stupid a lot of the times, but I look especially silly because a lot of times I'll flip the ears up just so I can hear. It's keeping my head warm, and then I can flip it down if it gets really cold. And then I also like Pnuma's flip top mitt. And I can leave my fingerless gloves on there even, and this is actually magnetic. So I can close it. I can keep my fingers warm. Even the thumb has a magnet open, and I can put my thumb away to keep it warm. But then when the action's heating up, I have my fingers accessible if I need to work my camera or use my release. They also have a hand muff that I really like. And typically I try to avoid as much stuff on my hands as possible. I like thin gloves like this. So I'll usually just throw some heat packs in my muff and get by with as little amount of layers on my hands as possible to keep me warm. So I like to wear this Ventus set as late into the season as possible just because I like to minimize the amount of bulk, especially bow hunting. So what I'll do to get a little bit of extra range and temperature out of this set is I will add Pnuma's heated core gear. And what this is it's battery powered. You press this button and it lights up and heats this entire thing. So there's a shirt and a vest you could get. They also have a heated pant. And I thought this was the most bougie stuff I've ever seen when I first got my hands on it, but man, does it make a difference when the temperatures start to drop. Pnuma also makes a heated core hand muff. So there's a compartment in the top here where you can put a battery pack and you just press the button and this whole hand muff is gonna get warm. So if you don't have heat packs, disposable ones, you can just simply recharge this battery, put your hands in there, and it's gonna keep you nice and toasty. So this is like the next level of warmth when the temps really start dropping. So the next scenario that you'll commonly find yourself in the rut is when it's those cooler temperatures, but raining. It's not quite cold enough to be snow. It's precipitating, maybe it's sleeting, and it's kind of wet out, but it's also cool. That's when I would bust out the Torrent set. So instead of wearing the Ventus pants, I would wear this. And these are the Torrent pants. And what I really like about these pants is there is a hip all the way down to the ground zipper. So when putting them on, you can zip it all the way to the top and slip it over your boots, or you can vent the sides very well by opening them up like this. And instead of the Ventus jacket up top, I would switch to the Torrent, and that's gonna look like this. And this is the Torrent jacket. And for being waterproof, it is as quiet as it gets. There's not very many quiet waterproof jackets. So as a bow hunter, when it's drizzling out and I can put this thing on, I know that I'm gonna be really, really stealthy. There's a lot of stuff about this jacket that I like. One of them is these giant underarm side vents. This allows you to dump heat. It also allows you to get into some of your interior pockets if you have a layer on underneath that you don't want things getting wet. And these zippers are 100% waterproof. They also have adjustable cuffs so you can tighten those up so the rain's not sliding down your hand and getting up into your sleeves. And this also has a very articulated hood. So I can put this hood up, it's got a little brim on it so the rain's gonna be dripping off the top of my head, but I can see almost an entire 180 degrees unobstructed. So I really like that. So again, if it's cooler and it's raining or it's wet out, this is an awesome set to have. The next situation in the rut, and what you really, really hope for, is when it's freezing cold. So whenever the weather's 30 degrees and below, which you're probably gonna have some amazing hunting, I would be wearing this. And these are the High Point pants. And this is the really, really cold weather gear. So here you have a really thick fleece, and in the shins, I have boots on so you can't really see it, but there's a shorter fleece so that way it doesn't get caught on burrs and stuff in the brush. But similar to what I was talking about earlier, I never wear these into my spot unless I'm just hiking in on a private land spot and climbing up into a tree stand. I might, but even in that case, I'll be sweating trying to set up wearing these. So I pack these onto the outer side of my backpack and I put them on once I'm actually set up in the tree. And then up top, instead of the Torrent jacket, I would have on this. And this thing is toasty. I'm sweating right now. But again, when it's under 30 degrees all the way down through the end of season, this is what I would have on. This is rainproof. It's got a DWR finish. They have the polygene technology, so they're not gonna smell. You can hunt all day, every day for the entire month of November. These things are not gonna stink. But you have these really nice pockets. I usually have a hand muff, but in the event you don't, you have nice big warm pockets where you can put some heat packs in there. And it's got a nice tall collar to block the wind and really trap that heat in, so that way you're not having heat escaped from your neck. So all in all, this thing is really, really nice. It has a shorter fleece on the inside of your arms. So for a bow hunter, your string is not gonna get caught up on your sleeve. It's still articulated and active fit, even though it is super insulated. So if you pair this with the heated core pants and jacket, and then add some of these accessories on the outside, like this neck gaiter and hat, you will be roasty toasty all the way through the end of season. You'll be prepared for whatever the rut throws at you. And the best part about having a system like this is if it warms up, you can simply shed layers, because again, we are building up to this point. So if it gets really warm during the midday, I can take this off and just wear what I have on underneath. And then when it cools down in the evening again, I can put my outer layers back on. Hunting the rut is one of the most exciting times possible for whitetail hunters, and you have to be prepared to make sure you're able to stay in the field as long as possible. They say you just have to be in a tree during the month if you're gonna have success. Having a proper layering system is gonna help you no matter what Mother Nature throws at you. If you guys wanna check out any of this gear, it's all linked down below in the description. And if you use the code NSO20, you'll save 20% off your order. And if you guys wanna see my 10 keys to making it through an all-day sit during the rut, check out this video right here.